Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Computer Science. Today, I want to show or tell you about, an interest of mine, a hobby. I like other things besides computers, though I do like computers a lot. One interest that I have is in the American Civil War. The Civil War was a big war that America fought back in the 1860s, so like over 150 years ago. And it was a war that we actually fought against each other. Northern states like Iowa and Michigan and New York and Ohio, they actually fought against southern states like Florida and Mississippi and Virginia and Texas. I always thought that this was a really interesting war because we were not fighting like a foreign enemy. We were fighting each other. I first kind of started getting interested in the Civil War in third grade, and I learned more about it and did more with it. And it's been something that I've been reading about, studying, and watching movies about basically since I was your age. I love it so much that I even have I have Civil War figurines like here and cannons. I've gone to different Civil War battles sites, taken my family, taken vacation to one place especially called Gettysburg, which was one of the biggest battles in the Civil War. Anyway, just to understand that, like I really like this Civil War idea, like studying about it. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Civil War. Uh, and we're going to use the Civil War to do a computer science task, and that computer science task is going to be to record data down. We're going to find data on the Civil War, and then we're going to use a tool called a spreadsheet, and we're going to record that data into a spreadsheet so that we can do other things with it later on. Okay, so strap in and get ready for some history and some computer stuff as we use spreadsheets to collect data on the Civil War. So here we are in Google Classroom, and you're actually going to see like it looks like there's this blank spot to my right over here, and that'll make more sense in a bit. I'll show you why I'm doing that. Anyway, let's focus on over Google Classroom. In Google Classroom, I've got a new assignment. We'll open that up, and there's two different links. So the first link here is to a place that's called Digital History, and it is going to have the information that we want. And then our second link here is going to be to Google Drive. So what we're going to do is first start by opening up the digital history link here. When we do, it'll open up in a tab, and it's a pretty simple website. It has a list of 10 major battles that were fought in the Civil War. And so what we need to do first is to get some data so that we can actually turn it into a spreadsheet. So here's what my suggestion is to do here. Get a piece of paper or a whiteboard or something, because it's a lot easier when you're taking data from a website to just record it on a piece of paper first, rather than like trying to flip back and forth between tabs and whatnot. So let's get our data first, and then we'll put it into a spreadsheet. And that's what I'm going to do over here in the right hand side of my page. See, I'm going to actually kind of model here what it means to take notes. This would be like your piece of paper. Okay. All right. So there are 10 different battles on this site here. You don't have to collect the data on all 10 battles, and you don't have to collect all of this data either. Let me show you kind of what we're going to gather here. So you're just going to we want some data to be able to compare against each other. So we're going to pick 5 battles. That's it, just 5. You can pick any 5 on this list, ones that might look interesting to you. Something that I see here, the top, it's going to tell me like the name of the battle and the state that it was in. We have the dates. When you see the word Confederate, those are the southern states. So everything kind of south of Tennessee and Virginia, those were the states that are the Confederates, the South. Talk about the Union, that means the northern states. That's Iowa, that's Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, New York, Rhode Island, those kind of states. Okay, so Union, North, Confederate, South. And then the word casualties here, casualties is going to mean the number of people that were killed or injured. And so what we're going to see is a lot of people were, killed and injured. That's kind of one of the pieces of data that we're going to find. So on your sheet of paper, what you'll do is pick a battle and write the name of that battle down. So I'm going to just choose this one right up here, Gettysburg. I don't have to write Battle of Gettysburg here. I don't have to record the state name, just that name of the battle right there, Gettysburg, okay? Let's also record down the date. So the date of this one was July 1st through the 3rd in 1863. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is record down the number of Union forces. So Union forces, that's the North. That was Iowa. Union. So Union forces, a force is like how many people were in your army. It tells me, wow, look at that. 82,289. That's the number of people who fought just on one side, just for the North. 82,000, 82,289. That's a lot of people. Just for context, Carlisle has about 4,000 people. So imagine all the people in Carlisle times 20. That's 20 Carlisles all fighting on just one side. That's a lot. We're also going to look for the Confederate. Now, if you, it's important that you probably write the word Confederate once, but if you want to shorten that up to like be con after this, that's fine. Confederate. Here we go. And it says Confederate forces right here is 75,000 people. Wow, 75. Not as many as the Union did, but still 75,000 is a lot of people. Okay, the last thing that we want to record down, and now I'm going to start using abbreviations here. So I'm going to say Union, and then I'm going to use the word casualty. Casualty. A casualty is a person who is killed, wounded, or missing. So it's not just killed. You could have been, sent to the hospital. You could have reported missing. We don't know what actually happened to the people. Record keeping wasn't fantastic back in the 1860s. And so these are usually kind of like guesses at best. But it basically means how many people were originally fighting and now no longer can fight anymore for whatever reason. So let's see, casualties. Now it tells us the total casualties here, but I kind of want to break it down and see how many for the North and how many for the South. So let's look. There it is. For the Union, there were 23,049 people that were injured and weren't able to fight anymore or were killed. Uh, I'm going to go con casualty here. I'm running out of room. And I'm going to say the Confederate casualties, let's see my thing here, 28,063. 28,000. Wow. 63. That is a lot of people. That's one of the things about the Civil War that I think is crazy is like the number of people that fought on us in a battle was huge. It's like taking what I said, 20 Carlisles and putting all those people into one battlefield and then fighting them against 15 Carlisles. It's huge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep on taking notes. That was one. It's not that long. I want you to do four more. You can do any of these four on here. Antietam, the Wilderness, Manassas, Stone River, Shiloh. These are all interesting ones. You might start to see some names start getting repeated over and over too. We're not going to worry about the names. That's not the data that we want to collect. We just want to collect the name of the battle, the date, how big the Union was, the Union force, how big the Confederate was, that's the southern states, and then how many casualties each side had. So now what we're going to do after we've collected all those notes is we're going to go back to Google Classroom. So we can click the tab up here. And we're going to open up Google Drive. Now you can get to Google Drive a number of different ways. But we're going to just open it up right here. I've got a link for you, and it should open up to a Google Drive. I didn't attach this into Google Classroom because I want you to know how to create your own Google Sheet without it being given to you through Classroom. In Google Drive, this is where we store all of our materials. We're going to come up to this button called New, and after we click on New, we'll see lots of different new things that we can create. Today, what we're going to create is called a Google Sheet. This Google Sheet is going to look like a spreadsheet with a bunch of different rectangles here. And the basic terminology for a spreadsheet is that these things that go across are rows. So this is row 5 and this is row 10. And then these things that go up and down are called columns. So column A, column C, column E. And then these individual rectangles then are called cells. Okay, C-E-L-L-S, cells. So when I say click on a cell, that means click on an individual one. Each cell has its own name. This name is C2. It kind of goes column then row. This cell, E6. And this cell is G7. If you've ever played Battleship, it's kind of like the same idea. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to first name our spreadsheet. Come up to the top where it says Untitled Spreadsheet and click it. Let's call it Civil War Data. Oops, data. We're going to call it Civil War Data, just like that, okay? Then we can click back into our spreadsheet. At the top, when we set up a spreadsheet, one of the easiest ways to do it is to have, it's kind of like a table. We're going to create a list basically of different data that we've taken. And we're going to record that list here in this first row. So we're going to start in the first box, A1, and we're going to record down like not the actual data, but what is the data. So in this case, we're going to say battle name. Feel free to stop and pause the video as we go along so you can type this out. But A1, that's going to be the name of the battle. Okay. B1, so we're going to go over the next one. B1, we're going to say date because we also recorded down when was the battle fought. C1, the next one, this was our Union force. The next one we took was the Confederate force. Now, if it goes off, don't worry about it. Then we had Union casualty. Now, this is going to be important to kind of write out the word Union and Confederate because this is like the headings. These are the titles of the data that we're going to collect. And finally, a Confederate casualty, like so. Okay. All right. If it bothers you that these are going off, it kind of bothers me sometimes too. Don't worry about it. But you can always like make columns bigger and smaller by clicking and dragging on the borders like right here. So when I put my mouse right on the border, I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. So if that's something you want to do, play around with it. That's fine. Okay, now this is like these are the headings. Now it's time to actually put in the data that we found. So, for instance, I chose Gettysburg. That was my battle name. And I'm going to look right over here on my notes. That's why I have these things over here, because it's going to, rather than like trying to flip back and forth and see, okay, what letter comes next? Gettysburg's kind of a weird name. My notes right here or on your paper are a great way to speed up this process. So Gettysburg. Um, Also, as a quick note, if you want to push the tab key, whenever you push the tab key, you actually go to the next cell. So that's kind of what I'm doing right here. You can also click to get to the next cell. So click or tab to get to your next piece of data. We said it was July 1st through the 3rd in 1863. The Union force we said was 82,289. The Confederate force we said was 75,000. Now that again is an example of how that's a guess. They didn't have great records. It wasn't 75,000 on the dot. I guarantee you that. Union casualties 23,049, and then Confederate casualties 28,063. Great. Now I'm ready to go to my next one. My next one would be whatever. So I'll do Shiloh, okay? And in Shiloh, I would record down the date for Shiloh and the date for the Union forces, or excuse me, not the date, but just the Union force number, the Confederate force number, Union casualties, Confederate casualties. If I've gotten all of those written, then I should be able to just really quick put those into my slideshow. Now that you're finished putting in all of this data, we're going to just keep it. You don't have to turn it in or give it back to me. But next time, we'll find this in Google Drive and we're going to do some stuff with it. We're going to manipulate the data, maybe make a chart or a graph or two. But now that we've got it in here, we'll be able to do more with it and focus on the analyzing of the data. Okay? Hope you guys found this kind of interesting as well. Spreadsheets are a big part of business. Many businesses use spreadsheets to keep track of different things, and so we're learning how to do that too. All right, I'll see you next time.